welcome back to the Back in Time podcast. I am Kyle Autry, joined as always by my co-host JD. JD, how we doing tonight?
Yeah, I switched my internet connection there at the last minute and it booted me off, and so now I'm a ghost, but now I'm back.
That's good. All right.
So that's how I'm doing.
And joining us third time on the podcast now. Welcome back to the show, Bud Brutsman. How you doing?
Doing good. This is the third time? That's crazy. Why did we do two in the first time? We just ran out of what happened?
Yeah, so we did like a very spoiler-free expedition talk, and then we did a heavy spoiler second one.
That's right. So, yeah, that's right. All right.
About a month in. So, I mean, clearly it stuck with you, which is good. And we were memorable.
JD's well, you guys keep on changing facial hair, so it's
odd. True.
We do. Yeah, my hair is shorter this time. Just got it cut. So
remember, he looked homeless before. He had like a COVID beard and stuff like that going on.
Yeah, that was JD. He'll be homeless soon enough. I mean, look at him.
What? Come on. I'm upgraded. I no longer look like I work at a dishwasher at a Mexican restaurant, man.
Yeah. Well, you certainly eated him. Now, Bud, last time we talked to you, the show was going strong on the Discovery app. Now it's been moved. It's actually right now on Discovery Channel as we speak. People can tune in and watch it.
Yep.
How did this happen? What was the level of occurrence here that got us onto the big channel in front of millions of people?
Well, it was it's an interesting. It kind of happened in reverse. I don't know if I told you the story, but so originally the show was sold to Discovery Channel. Back in 2019, October 2019, Chris and I had a meeting. September, we had a meeting, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this thing's a go for the big channel." And that's in my business, especially now that Discovery owns the entire world, including Warner Brothers. So I think he owns like fucking Bugs Bunny and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
He owns all of Warner Media. So it's a big deal to be on Discovery Channel, the big channel, not the other channels. And so we obviously the COVID hit and we did stuff, we reconfigured stuff and we did everything. We finally got back up and running around July, August for pre-production, and we started shooting October, right in the middle. And this is kind of the resilience not only of Josh Gates, but also Christopher Lloyd's wife and everybody. I had to call them like, we'll be fine. Our protocol was insane as far as we testing on site. We had doctors on site. It was ridiculously expensive, but like I don't really sit still, so I kind of had to figure out a way. And I literally, not joking, and this doesn't mean anything to anybody now because everybody's already kind of seen. I sat down and we wrote like protocol, like here's how we're gonna do it. Discovery's protocol. No other productions are going, so I'm like, here's exactly what we have to do. And I know for a fact they took my document. This is how it works. And sent it to like 3 or 4 other production companies. And they're like, oh, well, here's our Discovery protocol now. Use this. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of people making a lot of money doing rapid tests, and I'm not sure if they're real. But anyway, we didn't kill anybody. Our goal, did I tell you this? So our goal was, this is going to be terrible. Our goal was to not kill Doc Brown, right? So that
right.
like everybody stay at home, no parties. I had one of my production people were looking at everybody's social media to make sure that they weren't going out and clandestinely getting together, because a lot of millennials were going out and getting together and stuff. Like, nobody wants to kill Doc Brown. We got to keep him safe. I was in New York on his birthday. Then we're going to see Michael J. Fox, and now we don't want to kill Marty. So there's all these things, right? Josh Gates, I think he's young enough he'd get through it, but
right.
Marty and Doc Brown are pretty compromised, technically. Mm-hmm. So you're like, nobody wanted to get them COVID. So luckily they didn't get it. Okay. And then back to your story, is about 4 weeks before airtime, which is in March, Discovery Channel calls me and says, hey, congratulations. We got great news. What? We're moving you to the Discovery app, the brand new Discovery app we just launched. I'm like, oh, great. When? Oh, yeah, in like 2 weeks. Oh, crap, because we were supposed to air like the end of March, and they pushed us up by 2 weeks. We had to reconfigure the clock, which is something we should talk about. Reconfigure the clock for the episodes, and then get this on. So now we have a 38-minute clock. There's no commercial breaks. There's no recaps. there's all this stuff when you're binging on the app, as you guys saw, a lot of that stuff gets ripped out. So
Yeah.
So we ended up doing that, and then we scrambled to put the Discovery Channel version together that has all the recaps and obviously 5 minutes more of content. So there was a lot more content in there, 5 minutes per episode, an extra 20 minutes, for the season. So it really kind of happened in reverse. We sold it to Discovery Channel. We had our air dates. Then weird juggernaut with Discovery Plus came out, and it's like, oh no, we have to have this on the app. The streamers are absolutely ruling our business right now, and I didn't say ruining, I said ruling our business.
Yep. No, I think that makes total sense to take a property like Back to the Future and use that to promote your app. Like, yeah. I'm sure they got plenty of subscribers just based off of that alone.
Oh yeah, you guys know. I mean, you guys were part of it. I looked at all the chats and they were like, screw that, I'm not paying. It's like, no, just sign up for the free app and cancel it a month later, which is probably harder than you think. It's probably like,
right.
But everybody's like, just sign up for the free app, you idiot. And then everybody's like, no, I don't want to do that. That's against my religion. Okay, whatever, I can't. Yeah, there was like all this fighting going on. But yeah, if you're stuck at home still in March and you wanted something interesting to watch, you signed up for the app. So I think it was a good play too.
I mean, also, like, at the end of the day, what's a movie ticket these days? Like $12 to go to a movie for one person? The app is $5 for an entire month. Like, you have $5 in your pocket. You can spend to watch a show.
Stop drinking $7 Starbucks coffees and you can have 55 hours of programming. And I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that, yeah, there's a lot of dumb shit you do in your life. You can afford $5.
Right.
And if you're questioning whether you have that $5 or not, like you're saying, Bud, you got a lot of refocusing to do.
I was flying out. I forgot what it was last week or something. I was flying out last week. I had a beer in the airport, and I don't know why. I had a beer, and it was $11.
Oh my gosh!
Like, I didn't order a case. I just wanted one beer. No, $11. Like, what is that? Yeah. So yeah, you piss away plenty of money, people. You can watch the show.
I mean, was it a good beer at least? I mean, what'd you get?
Yeah, I think I had a Stella, if I remember correctly. So it was all right. Not worth $11. I mean, I don't know what it is per ounce, but it's like cocaine, technically.
No big deal.
Johnny Depp over here in the airport.
Yeah.
So you guys, when do we get the call that it's moving to Discovery, and like, what does that mean for like the production team? Like when you find out, okay, it was on the app. Obviously, they wanted it on the app. Now it's going on the channel. Does that change anything for you guys? Or is that just, okay, there's more eyeballs on our product?
Well, yeah, you don't know if there's more eyeballs. You do get, you get a binge watch, right? And as I described, and we're scrambling trying to do a linear show, which is it's 43 minutes and 30 seconds. And now we got to reconfigure, pull, and make it watchable. It still has some attributes of a linear show in it because we were moving so fast. So anytime we were kind of in this post flow, getting everything done, I promise you, the last episode wasn't even edited like 4 days before air. Promise you. I'm like, hey, I think if I remember correctly, it must have been a holiday or something. We're like, you're going to be there on Friday because we're going to upload the final episode on Friday and it's going to air on Monday or Tuesdays. So someone's got to be there to receive it and QC it. And I remember looking at these checks, like we get this quality control checks. Okay, so that passed. Because you have no time. We are literally delivering. So I don't know. The whole project was a scramble, right, to get everything done. And I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but I don't think Discovery even had that many series that they could premiere, right, in March on their app because there wasn't many productions going. I think anything they could possibly premiere on the app they could because one of the promises that Discovery Plus did is it's like a new premiere every week.
Okay. So
that's a lot of programs, 52 new series a week. So no, I think it's awesome. And I know, David Zaslav, who's the CEO of Discovery, I know that the app was his baby and for us to get chosen was great. Yeah. It didn't bug us a bit. It looked, the quality of the show, the early rushes we sent in and some of the early rough cuts, people in the building are nodding going, oh yeah, you got to see this. This is pretty cool. And people are going to like it. And it's promotable. So, I think you hit it on the head. It's really promotable.
Yeah, and I think what's cool about having it on the big channel too is, well, I mean, not only more eyeballs on the product, but I mean, there's also going to be a lot more of the like Fact to the Future, which I really love, and
Oh yeah.
you're going to get to see some more of that stuff in there. And I know we kind of talked about that a little bit on the last time that we talked, because I think there was maybe an international version that was longer too that you were telling us about. So
Yeah, that's
like,
10 minutes. There's 40 minutes extra
there we
content
go.
in the extra version. Yeah, much longer. We had the peanut brittle scene in there. Legit,
Yes.
like pulled the old scene. It was one light, which means it wasn't colored, it wasn't mastered, it was an old light, and it was Bob Gale's decision. Because we put it in there as a fact to the future that why did Marty look so disgruntled with his dad when he was pouring the peanut brittle? Because he was pissed off because some little girl conned him out of buying a case, or he fucked
Right.
the sucker.
Yeah,
We ended
that's
up
right.
doing that whole scene out. It was good. Yeah, that part was really good.
All right, awesome. Yeah, and with the Fact to the Futures, like, do you have any favorites? I don't think we got a chance to ask you that on the last one because we talked about a lot of them, but is there one that kind of stands out to you that people are going to be able to watch on the Discovery Channel version?
Yeah, I think I don't know if we talked about it. The Eddie Van Halen one was so weird because I think we talked about it, but it was my staff was doing all this research and stuff like that, and then they found one random story written by JD about about how Eddie Van Halen got in there, and then he did a sneaky recording, and it was kind of everywhere. This story was like in like two places, and then I was having Bob Gale review it, and then he just sent this again. I have this odd fear of Bob Gale, but I always take it as a nastygram. I don't want to. He's not a bad guy, but when he writes notes, it's kind of shitty, right? He's like, "Yeah, you guys are idiots. You got this wrong. This is what actually really happened." When technically, there's only like 3 people alive who knew actually what happened. So,
Right.
and then there's everybody else on the planet speculates and does all kinds of just these rumors get out of control. So the Ed Van Halen, how Van Halen got into the show and discover it, and I like when we're discovering it and we discover it wrong, and then you got to go back and there's like other versions of it. So that one was really cool.
So obviously, Gale's I love you. You talk a lot about him and how he's a tough cookie. Is he the worst that you've dealt with in terms of getting notes from somebody, or is there somebody else out there that you're like more scared of?
No, there's technically nobody I'm scared of. And he has the right to do it. And
Right.
Getting notes from him were kind of like you cringe, but that he wrote it, he was there, he's passionate about it. And I would much rather get notes from a guy like him who's really passionate about it. He's gonna strut and push you to do better than most people who give me notes who don't even know what the fuck they're doing. Right? They're like, oh, okay, I guess I give notes, and they're just like it's like bag of notes. You're like, what do you do? It's like, come on. Yeah, it's kind of disheartening because you don't know. Here's the difference. You don't trust that the other people who give you notes, not going to name names, right? And I'm not saying on this project, but the other people give you notes, you can't trust if it's going to make it better or more factual. They just some other random person's opinion, right? With Bob Gale, all he cares about is making that show better, right? And
Right.
he's also very open to opinions, like, oh, my opinion is this and my opinion is that, and I think we should do it this way. And so I'm not really scared of his notes. I scare because I'm like, oh god, I got to reopen this thing. No, his notes are the best because he cares, he's invested, and that's really, as a creative, what you hope that you can deal with someone who's invested, and they go, hey, I like what you did, but here's how we can make it better by doing these 3 things.
Yeah, and that's the beauty part about doing anything creative, whether your art is painting or sculpting or whatever. Having somebody come in with an educated hand to be like, that's fine, this is better.
Yeah, but that's rare, by the way, because unfortunately, when you do stuff creative and you want to get whatever, the pat on the back, you get everybody else's random opinion about shit. So there was a famous quote, right? One of my favorite filmmakers is Clint Eastwood. And Clint Eastwood talks about audience tests, right? And for the audience, for your audience who doesn't know what an audience test is, I've done a bunch and I've been involved with a bunch on the other side of the glass. Generally, the audience tests, what they are is they get a bunch of random people at a mall. Sometimes it's in Vegas, so they can do a cross section. They pay these people $120 an hour or something like that to watch this. And then they have these weird dial systems where, what did you think of this character? How'd you react to this scene? And they start talking about it. And what's the name of this thing? And then the producers behind the glass can go out there and, we can text to the moderator certain things. So Clint Eastwood said, if you're so fucking interested in what the bag boy at Ralph's have to say about my movie, have him go make it. So he doesn't allow any of the, this is how, he's 91 now, 91 as of this week. Clint Eastwood is. So if he's so irreverent. He's like, you're not doing an audience test on my film. I'm going to make my film and you're going to air it and you're going to test it. I'm not interested in people's random opinion about it. So a few of those in Hollywood.
On the topic of Clint Eastwood, since you're a big fan of his, I got
a lot of dead air.
What's your favorite Clint Eastwood movie? Oh, Bud, you still there? I think you froze up on us here.
All of them.
Oh, that's fair.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm here. No, I like Dirty Harry.
You're back.
Yeah. Dirty Harry's the man. All of his Dirty Harry stuff was amazing. I liked him in Any Which Way But Loose, Any Which Way You Can. Get Off My Lawn was always good, but Gran Torino. So I know, just a big fan of him. We're lacking a lot of tough guys like that in our industry right now, and he's definitely an icon.
Well, we had a guest on. He was actually the gentleman that fills in for George as the George McFly in part 2 and 3, and he worked with him on a project. And he said one of his favorite things about Clint Eastwood is, unlike most directors that are like roll film, roll sound, action, Clint just looks at you and goes, "Ready when you are." that's how they take off. So we're like, that's amazing. That's so Clint Eastwood for him just to be like, "Go ahead."
I don't know if he even thinks he's that cool. I just think he does shit that does shit. I don't think he even thinks about what he's like. All right, your turn. I think he just does it.
That has to be intimidating, though, because when Clint Eastwood says your turn, I'd kind of be like, to do what? Line?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you got to remember, in our industry, he has done the ultimate, right? So he has went from, heartthrob. That guy was awesome when he was super young. He was 25, 26. There's a really cool photograph of him on a skateboard going down Broadway in New York. In the 1950s or 60s. But, to be a top-line actor, be an action film, played Dirty Harry, and now he's directing and have such a reverence. At 90, having a reverence, like, I'm going to do a couple more films. There's no way the three of us are going to be 9 years old going, we're going to do a couple more films. One more podcast before I'm 92, and then I'm done. We're not doing that.
This will be the last one ever, and then you die.
And oh, by the way, he's also a really accomplished composer too. On top of all of that, he can also compose the film, which is just insane in itself.
Yeah, how is that? He can hang out with orangutans and kiss Carissa Flock and all this other crap he did, or whatever her name was. But yeah, he's a badass.
That's awesome. So just kind of looking forward, I know you've got stuff that you're working on that we can't really dive into, but as far as like a timeline goes, when might we expect the next project from Bud Brutsman? Because I love Expeditions. I can't wait to see like what you're doing next with this. Well,
I took this as a really big. What we did was pretty remarkable, right? So I'm working with Universal and a couple of other franchises that we could do a similar treatment to.
Cool.
And they're kind of hard to package, right? I can tell you off the top of my head, I can just bring one. Like, I'm working with someone on, which is not a Universal package, by the way. That's a Warner Brothers one, which will be super easy now that we own Warner Brothers, right? So I'm working on a Gone in 60 Seconds one. where we can kind of do the same kind of treatment. Hunting down Eleanor and hunting down all the other cars and stuff like that. I got to lock in the right talent. I got to secure the rights and go do the thing. But there are many projects like that on a daily basis that I do. But also my business is fairly large. Tomorrow I leave for Mexico. I'm doing a show for ESPN called the Baja 500, which is on ESPN every year. So we do a lot of race programs. I have a show on BYU called The Fixers. It's also on Discovery Channel called The Fixers. It's on Discovery International and BYU domestically. So I am constantly producing, but at this level, which is kind of this fandom crazy cool car thing, I'm gonna do this treatment on. There's probably four new projects that I'm working on that are just like that.
Wow. I know you can't say much, but across the board, is it like doable, not so doable? Here's a moonshot of like, please, dear God, let this work.
No, with me, it's all doable. I have a track record. I was on the phone. I had a really positive meeting this morning at 9:30 regarding this other Back to the Future property that I'm doing, and so we're getting closer. So it's very positive.
Nice.
Yeah.
Other Back to the Future property. That's interesting. My mind is racing on what that might be.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Bob and I got together and created a new series, and I'm like, yeah, he's like, I think we could. This is probably doable. So we started talking about. It's really grew out of. There was so much creative on this last one we did, the Expedition Back to the Future, and we did when we wrote the first couple of iterations of it, and then COVID hit, we had to pare it down. And so we kind of went back to that creative of like, wait a minute, we left so much because it was like I think I remember telling you it was like this $10 million 8-part series. We did so much crazy stuff in it. And so I kind of went back to that and I'm like, why don't we do this part of it? I mean, we did this part, which is the car hunt and all the other stuff that we had. But we should really, and it was well received. So let's go back and look at this part of it, which I can't tell you what it is, but it's, you get it.
But it's amazing.
Kill us with the spoilers. My God.
Yeah. Well, that's what I did the first time. I didn't disappoint you the first time. The reason I wanted to get on and really talk about the show, and listen, I have become a massive fan only because I didn't get slaughtered by all the fans after we did the show, which I thought, I'm telling you, every single Fact of the Future, every single line was like, oh, these people are going to kill me. JD is going to send me emails like, that's not true. So I didn't get hammered by most of those. So I was really happy, because again, you just want to see like something cool and new and different that was on there. And so, and when I watch a movie and I watch a TV show and I know that it's been well thought out and crafted, I appreciate it. I'm like, oh, well, they really did that. And they didn't do it for themselves. They did it for us, the viewers. And that's what I hope to deliver back when we're doing our shows.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've talked to a bunch of people that love Back to the Future. I have not heard one negative thing about the show, in all honesty. Which is insane because people shit on stuff all the time. Like a trailer comes out of I'll like with Ghostbusters Afterlife. Like I'll text one friend, that looks awesome. The next friend, that looks like shit. The next friend, I think I'll probably pass. And it's just like, what?
Well, listen, the new Reitman one looks amazing. The Ghostbuster with chicks, where Chris Hellman's will take his shirt off for 2.5 hours. That was shit. I don't care what it is. It's garbage. But
that means you saw it though.
Well, yeah, I think you. Oh, by the way, that's the trick, though. The trick is, hey, we're coming out with a new Ghostbusters. Okay, it was with women. How bad could they possibly fuck this up? Oh, okay, it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's bad. And listen, I love Kate McKeon and I love Jones. What's her name?
Yep.
Leslie Jones. She's
Leslie Jones.
Yeah, she's amazing. But I think that the problem is some of these. It's what I talked about earlier. Some of these properties, like Ivan Reitman's son, Jason Reitman, go in there and like he's going to take hold of that and he's going to turn it into something. Does it mean something? He grew up with it. It's his dad's brainchild. It made his dad's career in a sense. I don't mean that disrespectful. I know he did Stripes and other stuff too. But it was an amazing, amazing thing. And I think he'll do it right. And when you look at the trailer, by the way, it's funny. That trailer was released before COVID. They started going, okay, it's coming out, and then they're like, oh, never mind. They pulled it back
they
in.
pushed it back. Now it's a November release. But Jason Reitman's really the first Ghostbuster fan because he was a kid when it got made. And funny enough, I listened to a thing yesterday because it was Ghostbusters Day, and him and his dad were on for this like hour-long Twitter session, and he got cut out of the first film by his dad. He had a line in there, and he cut him.
Oh, that's
so he brought him back in the second one, and he's the little kid in the party scene when the Ghostbusters go, and they're like, "We thought this was going to be He-Man," and then he's the kid that delivers the line, "My dad said you guys are a joke." So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. Well, you're right. He is the first one because his dad's sitting there writing it and going through it and he's doing the phone calls and doing the deals. And like he is just, you're right. He's in the thick of it the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like nostalgia is so big right now with like Ghostbusters and Stranger Things and Cobra Kai. Like for you, like, and obviously you dip into a lot of it with Expedition, and it sounds like we're going to get a lot more of that without giving away the names of properties. But I mean, that's big right now, correct?
Yeah, I did something funny the other day, and it kind of really struck me as weird. So I looked up in 1980. I looked up all the top 10 grossing films in 1980, right? And I started looking at them. And you can look at them up right now. Let's just talk about it. Because I'm like, holy shit. They were like all like, there's probably a couple dozen there. You can look it up. But there was like 10 comedies. Like there's none of it. There was no war movies or any of this. It was all 10 comedies. And they were like iconic comedies. I'm like, wait a minute. That was out there. That was out then. What's the list?
I'm pulling it up right now. Oh my gosh, it's impressive. Here we go. I can actually share it so we can all see it here.
And I think that's what, part of our problem. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. What is it? Oh, yeah. So Indiana Jones, of course. Is this 1980?
1980s. So I just
So this is all the 80s. Were you just talking about 1980?
Yeah. 1980 particularly. The top 10 in the 1980 because this has Rain Man and E.T. and stuff like that on it. I mean, that one particular year. Because see, this has some big ones. I think Empire Strikes Back was in 1980.
80 right here. Boom.
There you go. Yeah. So Star Wars was the big sci-fi one, right? Then 9 to 5. Okay, you got to look at that. Stir Crazy. Come on. Stir Crazy with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder is absolutely out of control. Kramer to Kramer. I remember that was Dustin Hoffman. Any Which Way You Can. There you go. Clint Eastwood. Right? So you
can't escape.
Yep. Private Benjamin, Goldie Hawn. Amazing. Coal Miner's Daughter. Okay, I get it. Sissy Spink. Smokey the Bandit 2. Amazing. Blues Brothers. Get the fuck out of here. Right? Ordinary People. It's what a good year, right? That's a great year.
I mean, even if you go down a little bit further, Caddyshack, The Shining, Friday the 13th, Flash Gordon, I mean, Raging Bull.
The Jazz Singer, come on.
Fantastic year.
Popeye with Robin Williams.
How could you forget Bronco Billy? I know you guys have, but I have not forgotten. That is also a Clint Eastwood film, by the way.
Yeah. Man, he's killing it in 1980.
Yeah.
But,
wasn't that good of a film, but it was whatever. He paid check for him, whatever.
It worked.
Yeah,
it worked, and you remembered it. So the system definitely is in session.
But part of that is we talked about is nostalgia. So when, a neighbor that I have in my community, her grandfather was Hal Needham, right? And I just think that you kind of miss those days where you're like, hey, I'm going to make a cool series of movies about stuntman. We're going to go race around this. Or if you absolutely break down the premise to Smokey and the Bandit, 'cause I watched it again the other day, you're literally just chasing beer from one end of the country to the other, right? There's this kind of weird law where Coors beer is not past the Mason-Dixon line. You can't get it past, so they run out. That was the entire premise. And then he meets a girl and he does this and he chases them, and it's like, it's simple and fun and cool. It's definitely, they're rare. Not that many movies are that way right now.
No, it's true though. And you're absolutely right, because you take a movie and you can almost compare it to like Mad Max Fury Road, which the whole premise of that movie was, hey, we need to drive this truck from this spot of the desert to that spot of the desert. And 2 hours later, you lose your damn mind. And it's just awesome.
Well, yeah, and then I'll be critical for a second. I watched King Kong versus Godzilla the other day, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck is this? Is this a space movie? It's a monster movie? It's Jurassic Park? Or what? I mean, it's a problem when you do things by committee. Like everybody's got a damn idea, right? Like I got an idea where he's going to make a mega robot, and then they go through a center of the earth, and now you're in this. Like, okay, I get it. There's like so many things mashed into one, and it's not that it wasn't impressive as they put it together. And I knew Godzilla was going to win because there's no way during the negotiation that the Japanese were going to let Godzilla lose, right? So
Right.
that's like, however this negotiation happened, they're like, no, we don't lose to King Kong. I'm sorry. he'll be remorseful, but he's definitely they're gonna come together, whatever it is. So yeah, it was fun, but it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't like some of these big gigantic movies. Not even gigantic movies that are iconic to us. So that goes back to your point, Kyle, is that nostalgia's there, right? Because there's some simplicity to storytelling, right? E.T. was such a beautifully made story. Storytelling's important, right? And if you work with people who aren't just trying to sell tickets, and that's a big part of it, but trying to tell a story, like sit down, tell the story. This is what happened. So that's I'll live and die by that. I'll buy Clint Eastwood. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna make my own stories and tell stories. And if you don't get them, awesome. Don't care, because I just want to entertain.
No, I think that's the right attitude for sure, and it's just interesting because it applies outside of the TV world and cinema as well. Because like any job that anybody has, it comes down to storytelling. Whether you're a salesman or you're just trying to create a beautiful landscape, you're telling a story.
Right. Yep.
And just to piggyback off of your ET comment for a second, I said this because we've covered ET in like detail on this podcast. The last 15 minutes of that movie might be the best in cinema history. I'll put it up with almost any movie.
Oh, it's pretty good. No, I don't disagree. I mean, with that tunnel and all those guys and they're escaping and they're doing, it's good. And by the way, that those are movies that really kind of took time. If you look at the storytelling, took time to develop, right? Mm-hmm. You're not smacking the face when you first get there, and it takes time to develop. So yeah, it's right. Storytelling is that way. Steven Spielberg is a billionaire for a reason.
That's true. That's very true.
So in 2021, in the world of CG and streaming and gotta have it now, like how do you bring a little bit of that back into like your projects?
Wow.
It's a good question. It made him leave the chat. We'll wait for him to load back up here.
No, that was a good question though. Oh, there you go. Welcome back, bud. You
froze up for a second there. Oh.
Still,
yeah, he's froze.
But it looks like a beautiful day behind him.
It pays to be in California. It's pitch black here.
Well, it is also nighttime.
Yeah. Time change.
So, you got that going for you. I don't know if we're going to get Bud back. Hopefully he's going to come back as soon as I start into the statement. But
yeah, go ahead.
It just makes me think of like David Lynch and his storytelling and the way that he visually portrays his series, especially when it comes to Twin Peaks season 1 and 2, and then Fire Walk with Me, and then the Showtime Twin Peaks season 3, and just his commitment to storytelling throughout that entire what has become a franchise. And Kyle has no idea what I'm talking about, but you look excited.
No, I totally know what you're talking about. I think that's a great example, actually. David Lynch is freaking awesome.
David Lynch is freaking awesome. And we've officially lost Bud.
Yeah, he'll be back on in a minute, I'm sure.
He miserably hates us.
Yeah, I think him being outside, his signal's not as good as it is normally inside the house, but that's all right.
That'll happen. Well, as we wait for Bud, we can discuss what you posed a good question to him just a second ago.
Yeah. So, looking at what he's done with Expedition, I think they've already started to do that a little bit, but, my question was, how do you take a little bit of that 80s, that like long form storytelling in movies that wasn't like punch you in the face the minute the movie rolls, Avengers type of filmmaking? How do you put that in a show today? And here he is. He's back, actually.
He's back.
Back.
All right, that was shitty. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you said it cut out right when you said "wow," and then you froze up. So it was right after my question, which I can totally re-ask if you need me to.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was a child, and my internet, my actual computer, just completely died. So I had to run in the house and grab my phone. Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
I think what happens.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I can answer your question. I think what happens is you get you surround yourself with some really quality to do what you're doing. I have a group of editors and great directors and people around. Oh, I lost you. Are you guys there?
Yep.
Yeah.
You froze for a second.
Okay. All right. No, I have a good group of editors and directors and storytellers around me, and that's really what we try to do. You know.
Signal's being a little weak tonight. That happens. We'll wait
Usually
for
to me.
Unfreeze. Yeah, it usually happens to you, Jason.
That's why I switched my internet connection right as we started this episode, because I was like, I don't want to be freeze man.
Right. Yeah.
I bought these damn amplifiers and they don't work all that well.
But I think, kind of the point that he's making is it sounds like it really takes a village. I mean, it can't be one guy that's kind of driving the boat from what it sounds like. He's got editors, he's got, his camera guys, his crew.
Yeah, it's like you said, art is a form, and it takes a lot of creativity to, one, inspire an idea that's worth a damn, and then two, to bring it to life. It's a completely different thing where there is auteurs who do, like the Coen brothers. They write, they produce, they direct, they do some editing. Wes Anderson, same way. But you still have to be surrounded by great actors and great cast and great crew and all of that great stuff.
Yep. And I think if we get him back on, obviously we'll let him, kind of finish his point here. But I think it would be good for you to, maybe ask him some advice. I know you're going to be working on some projects, and maybe get some good advice from him.
Yeah, that's a very daunting question and way to put me on the spot.
But here he is. All right, there we go.
This is it.
Bud is back.
That's twice I did that. So now I'm not going to move. I was walking around, and my computer died. I can't get it back up. And then I got on the phone with you, and I started walking around. Anyhow, so you want me to start over?
Yeah. Just it kind of was breaking up, and it seemed like you had a good point. So yeah.
Yeah. So, you asked me, how do we bring some of the storytelling? And I think that, I happen to have a lot of good directors around me, some good directors, good writers, and some business people around me that kind of allow us to do stuff that's fun. And for me, and I've based my entire career, based on doing stuff that I think is cool and it's fun. I'm not really out to please sponsors and commercial people and try to out to please people. If I think it's cool, I think other people can think it's cool. Which, by the way, is kind of how, our expedition Back to the Future started. So my mom was a really big fan of Back to the Future. And obviously, cool. I'm a car guy. And I was like, I bet you people would find it really cool what happened to the cars and where the cars are at. And that's kind of was always, I remember sitting down with Christopher Lloyd for the very first meeting. And I'm like, we need to know where those cars are at. I mean, and to some people who are around me who don't know, they just think I'm obsessed with the cars. And I'm not, right? So that, it's not really who I am. What I am is obsessed with storytelling. And a lot of times storytelling has to do with cars, right? Unfortunately, they're around, they're a part of who we are. And they're kind of a connective tissue to everything that we do. So
right.
Cars are important. And the cars of our childhood are really important, right? Like the A-Team van and Smokey the Bandit car and Kit the car. I mean, we know those not because you're an idiot and you're obsessed with cars. It's because they are characters in the movie, right? And I want to give you an example. The difference between the DeLorean and Ecto-1 Ecto One, because I had a lot of people ask me, could I do something on Ghostbusters? Yeah, I could, but Ecto One wasn't a character, right?
Right.
It's not Bumblebee, and it's not the DeLorean. It's Ecto One. It's a cool car. Let's not mistake. It's not fucking Christine. Like Christine's a character, right?
I love that movie, by the way. But continue.
Yeah, but see, that's what I mean. Is you write these things. You could I was trying to distinguish, like, hey, because my agent and I will have this meeting. What other movies could you do? I'm like, well, there are few movies where that car bubbles up to the top and becomes the center of attention, right? Like Smoking the Bandit or Back to the Future.
Fast and the Furious.
Fast and the Furious is very. No, I agree. It's very tough, but you get that has like 130 cars.
Right.
I was thinking more Dom's car, the one he keeps in the garage. That would be a cool one to track down.
It's a 69 Charger.
Boom.
Yeah, 69. So yeah, and I do know where a couple of those are at, though. I did look into that already. And I actually know where Paul Walker's Skyline is at, and a couple other ones. So yeah,
that'd be awesome.
So, but yeah, and it's not like I'm a car freak. I'm a storyteller, and you want to know those are at. You want to know where the original Eleanor's at. You want to know where, where the original kit was. How many they used, the Batmobiles, and all this other stuff. And so much. Even the Batmobiles aren't really the center of focus, right?
Right.
Christine would be a tough one because I'm not sure how many they used and where those cars are at, but we could definitely do one, to make Kyle all creepy and find out where that car came from.
I had a red Camaro, was my first car, and I named it Christine, and yeah, just based off of the movie, even though it's not even close to that car, but I mean, it was a red car, and I loved it.
It made you happy.
It made me happy.
95 Camaro, I was happy with it.
Nice, yeah. Was like a Berlinetta or was it an IROC? What did you have?
More like the IROC. Yeah.
Right. Nice.
So not a car guy. I'm lucky I can pump gas and not like blow myself up at the same time.
Listen, I'm a car nut. I love cars, but in movie making and television making, you look at some of the most iconic ones, and the automobiles sometimes are a big. They're a big thing. Absolutely a huge thing.
Yeah, I actually heard that the new Ghostbusters movie, a lot of it is going to take place in the car, and that they wanted to make it more like a character. Jason Reitman was talking about that.
Well, they built, exactly right. They built like 3 or 4 of them, right? I know some guys who have built like 3 or 4 of those, and those are pretty rare, right? Because they're 5960 Cadillac Hearst, and they're not, or ambulance Hearst, which aren't really that, rare or are not that out there. Then you have to glue all the shit on it like you do with a DeLorean and kind of make it an Ecto One, the sliding trays and all the crap on it. So, again, it makes me more excited if he wants to make Ecto One more of a character. That's badass. It's
going to have a Corvette engine in it, and he said they were ramping it up to like 85 miles an hour because he kind of ripped on his dad a little bit. He's like, if you look at the first one, he's like, you can tell they're speeding the film up a little bit to make it look like it's going. He's like, in this one, he's like, man, we were putting our foot to the floorboard.
Can you imagine your goal, your biggest thing, and Jason's awesome, but your biggest thing is you're going to try to top your dad in Ghostbusters, right? And by the way, if you're Jason Reitman and all of a sudden you're walking into probably Warner Brothers at the time and go, hey, thanks for fucking up my dad's franchise. That's really good. I appreciate that. Can I take it over now? Because I'm going to do it again. Because that was, he started production. You should look at the schedule. Probably 8 months after that the Girls Ghostbuster bombed.
It wasn't long after.
Oh, he's like, okay, that was
enough of this. Let me go ahead and take the reins here, boys.
Yep. Let me do it for real.
Awesome. Well, JD, I know you had a couple questions you want to ask Bud before we let him go, and we always appreciate his time.
No, Kyle is putting me on the spot. So actually, in a unique twist of fate, I sold a movie script to a production company that took on an arm of developing reality TV shows. So they brought me on board as part of their development team. So now, as of like 2 weeks ago, I'm working on 2 reality TV show proposals. And I don't know my head from my ass in this world.
Well, you can email me, call me anytime, right? So I probably have And it's tough. I mean, listen, I have a lot of celebrities I'm working on stuff with. Some really they're not signed yet, but I probably have 60 that I'm working on.
Oh goodness.
And that's the big thing that like I'm learning about this world. And you know, we have meetings like pretty much every single day. We're on the phone or on the video call, and that's the one thing that keeps coming up is celebrity IP. You need that celebrity attached to it, and then you can sell it all over the place.
Unfortunately, they're being pushed by the streamers, right? They're being pushed by the streamers and pushed by everybody. It has to be promotable, so you have to have it. And it's really shitty, right? Because you have to Will Smith attached to some kind of golf thing, and you got to do this. So yeah, the celebrity IP does matter, right? Even though, and listen, I fight about that all the time because the biggest people that are on Discovery Channel now are not celebrities, right? So all those guys from Deadliest Catch and Gold Rush and all that other stuff, those guys were never celebrities. All the big people on Discovery Channel weren't celebrities. Rachel Ray, not a celebrity till she got on TV. So, but yeah, now they keep on wanting us, to have huge celebrities at every turn to sell a show, and it's really ran by, I don't know, the networks and the advertisers and the development executives and Steph Curry doing a golf show. I refuse to watch it. The dumbest thing. Right. Now I have basketball. I'm competing against basketball players. Like, it's fucking driving me nuts.
No, and it's the same thing in scripted television and movies too, where it doesn't matter what the hell the movie is. Bruce Willis is in it. You've sold your international pre-sales and you're good to go.
Yep. No, that a lot of it's economics, right? Yep, I agree.
So no, that was just curious, and I would love to continue that conversation with you and just pick your brain a little bit to see like how to do this part of the industry, which I'm pretty brand new to.
Yeah, email me and we'll talk. We'll talk offline. I'll give you my cell and I'll help you any way we can.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yep. I appreciate the hell out of that.
I have a couple really big programs, but a lot of them have IP. A lot of them have like the celebrity IP or celebrity adjacent IP.
Yeah, and it's just so fascinating and interesting, and I love what you're saying because I'm taking what you're saying very personally into this new wing of my career about storytelling and just screwing off, telling everyone else to screw off and tell the best story.
Yeah, you took everything very personal the first time we did our podcast too. Fucking.
But that's when I had the beard, though.
Exactly. Shave your face, took a shower.
I don't want to give you all the credit, bud, but all of a sudden he shaved and now he has jobs coming out of his ass. So I think you should take a little credit for that.
Motivation, yeah.
No, it's a big thing. It's a big thing.
That's fantastic. Well, I mean, we'll have to do this again. I mean, I know you said you're working on something new, Back to the Future, but I mean, really any projects, man. We love having you on here to talk and help you in any way we can to promote the shows. And I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we can't take all the credit, but I mean, Expedition's on the big channel here. Yeah. And we helped promote it the best we could for you.
Well, I appreciate it. Wednesday nights, I appreciate it. And just keep in touch with Cynthia. Usually when we try, it's kind of a new thing I'm doing. I like talking about it, honestly. I haven't done it that often. We have, on a regular basis, every 2 or 3 months, we're dropping a new show someplace at one channel or another. And it's important to get out and talk about it, and talk to people direct and hear some of the cool stories. And maybe it resonates or connects with people, or, they pulled themselves up out of the gutter and shaved down and go get a job or whatever happens. It's cool.
Love it.
One more kick to the gut before we go. I love it. Well, yeah, I mean, guys, obviously check out Expedition Back to the Future on Discovery tonight. You can watch it. I'm sure it's going to be on there on demand as well. I'm watching it on DirecTV in the background, channel 278. So check it out or get on the app and watch it. But it'll be on for, you said 4 weeks, Bud?
Yep, they'll go around 4 weeks, and they'll probably do a marathon after that. But yeah, it'll be good. And then I think you'll start getting a lot of buzz. It'll hit Discovery International probably by late summer, and it'll be all over the world. So that's going to be a big push for us.
Nice.
Yeah. Everybody will be watching these YouTube videos of you just ripping on us left and right. It's fantastic.
He's the Gordon Ramsay.
No, we love it. It's like we're gluttons for punishment. So. It's fantastic, but we appreciate you coming on again, and everybody should follow Bud's Production on Twitter and Instagram. It's BCII Production, so anything that's going on, I'm sure they're going to be tweeting it out and letting you know when things are about to drop, when he's allowed to talk about it, we'll have him back on to promote what's next.
All right. Well, thanks guys for having me. I appreciate it. JD,
Hey.
Kyle, you guys are awesome.
Have fun in
Awesome.
Mexico, bud.
All right, man.
Thanks a lot, bud.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
See ya. All right. Well, we'll just kind of wrap it up real quick, JD, since we normally don't get a chance to do that at the end of these episodes. But I mean, just a quick recap. I'm glad I put you on the spot. I feel like we've got a friend in Bud. We've got a friend in Bud.
No, I'm probably one of the worst self promoters and networkers around. I do an awful job of really relying on other people. I need to do a better job of surrounding myself, as Bud gave advice to anybody listening. If you're experienced or you're trying to get into the industry, surround yourself with great people that can do great things.
Yep.
And sounds like maybe Bud could be one of those allies for me. So.
And one of the things that I kind of loved about what he told us earlier was he does stuff that he thinks is going to be really cool, and he doesn't worry about what other people's opinions are going to be. If it's cool to him, he thinks it's going to work. And that's big. I mean, we've got stuff that we've worked on. We're like, we love it. And I think we're almost like afraid to put it out there. So we should just do it.
It's tough. And like some of the, obviously the level of notes that I get, when Kyle gives me notes, it's kind of just smiley faces and kissy winky faces. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, JD's the best. Makes me feel real good about myself. Like when mommy gives me a note in my lunch sack. Mm-hmm. But no, like I've got a good friend, producer, woman who, when she reads my scripts or screenplays or anything like that, she returns them and there's pages, 5, 10, 20 pages that are just redlined out completely. And this is the note, this is wrong. And I'm just like, take it so well, and it's so good to be able to just put yourself out there. And I guess that's what I'm saying is don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there with somebody that might not love what you're doing. And just because they don't love what you're doing doesn't mean you're wrong.
I feel like there's a George McFly moment in there where he's like, I just don't know if I can take that type of rejection. So don't be a George McFly.
Don't be a George McFly.
There you
be
go.
A George McSuperfly.
The sequel we never got. Damn it, Crispin Glover. Why'd you have to ask for a raise? What's the matter with you? But yeah, man, I think this was a great episode. I didn't want to keep him too long, knowing that he's got to go to Mexico the next day. I mean, last time we had him for like an hour and a half. So, if you guys like this episode, go into our archives here on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening to this, and you can check out part 1 of our interview, which is very spoiler free, where we just kind of talk about the how the project came to be, how Christopher Lloyd got involved. We get no spoilers at all, and then we had him back on after it had been on the app for about a month, and we got all the spoilers. Every little detail you can think of, we got it.
Yeah, so definitely, audience, give that a listen, give that a watch. If you're interested about Bud, because he's got a very kind of unique career that he has built for himself. Check him out. Go to his IMDb page. He tells some good stories in the first episode about some of the shit that he's just experienced while filming some of his properties, that it's just kind of like, you think you had a rough day at work. Listen to the first episode and Bud Brutsman's got you beat.
Mm-hmm. He's an interesting guy. So, we appreciate everybody hitting the download button on the podcast today. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, you like this, throw us a subscribe. You can turn on the bell notification. Next time we go live, you'll get notified right on your phone. You won't miss a show. But we'll be back in about a week with brand new content. But in the meantime, we'll have a couple retro episodes dropping. And then I think we'll be back with top 5 disaster movies of all time right here on YouTube live. We'll be breaking it down. We might have a special guest. I might be cooking something up. I might not even tell JD who it's going to be. We'll see. We'll see what we do. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Or actually, not even a couple weeks. Less than that. 7 days. We'll be back. See ya. JD, leave your 5 up there. You're frozen.